So I've been getting some comments asking for an update on how I got on with my smart trainer that I panic bought going into lockdown for the coronavirus. So in this video I'll give you a quick update on how I'm getting on with the Saris H3. So where I live in the UK, we're under the coronavirus lockdown. Now currently it's not got quite as bad as I thought it was going to get, and we are still allowed out to get exercise. So we've had some beautiful weather last couple of weeks and I've been able to get out on the bike almost every day. However, the coming weeks there's definitely some rain coming, so my smart trainer is going to get a lot more use, I think. But it was because of this lockdown that I panic bought my trainer, because I was worried that I was going to have to do the booty shake workouts on YouTube and thought I'd definitely prefer to ride my bike on Zwift and keep my fitness up. So if you watched the last video, you'll know that I bought the Saris H3 from Rutland Cycling, and it cost penny shy of 740 eye-watering pounds, and I still have a little cry about that every day. Anyway, my fears of it not turning up were unfounded, as all the delivery companies seem to be working as normal. It turned up when they said it would, and here it is, set up, ready to roll on Zwift. I even got nominated for Hack or Bodge because people thought it was funny that I'd left my mudguard on the back because I couldn't be bothered to take it off. Okay, so this is where we then started running into a few problems. In the title of this video I called it a disaster, but with what's going on in the world at the moment, I guess that's a bit of an exaggeration. Let's just say it was a bit of a pain in the backside. So the plan was to use Zwift, and I'd already mentioned before in the last video that it didn't work on my phone. I'd also decided I wasn't going to use Bluetooth because my heart rate monitor would only work with AMP+. So because I was running it on my PC, I had to buy a dongle to go into the PC. Now as soon as I released my last video, lots of people pointed out that the dongle probably wouldn't work unless it was right next to the bike, and they were absolutely 100% correct. So I had to buy a cable to run the dongle as close to the trainer and bike as possible, and that didn't work very well either. That still was dropping out, and then to top it all, my heart rate monitor stopped working as well, even when I changed the battery. So I had to get a new heart rate monitor, and I got a cheap one off eBay which had Bluetooth on it as well, and the AMP+ with the dongle was driving me mad, so I cut that out the equation as well and went to Bluetooth using the companion app on my phone. Now that would work fine for a few minutes, and then completely randomly Bluetooth would suddenly lose connection to everything, which was driving me absolutely barking mad, and I was about to throw the whole lot out the window. And then it occurred to me that my Garmin 530, which was on the bike, and even though it wasn't turned on, it was in sleep mode, has Bluetooth on it. So I turned off the Garmin, and then lo and behold, Bluetooth from the companion app to the computer seems to work fine now. So as long as I remember to turn off the Garmin, all's well. So I wish I'd known that before I started out on this journey, but there we go. So then the next problem I had was I was trying to use the Chromecast to broadcast from the computer to the TV. That was completely useless and would drop out every few minutes, making it completely unusable. We had to cross that one off as well, and instead get a great big long HDMI cable to go from the computer to the TV. And that cable's a bit of a pain because I have to get that out every time I want to use the trainer, because it has to go across the floor and over the sofa to the computer. The other problem I ran into was my PC. I have 3 monitors. So I've got a graphics card with 4 ports on it, and I currently run 3 monitors. What I discovered was that if I use the computer all day doing Photoshop and stuff like that, and then immediately start up Zwift, after a couple of minutes the PC would crash. What I discovered in the end was that if I unplugged the other 2 monitors, rebooted the computer, then Zwift would run perfectly after that. So every time I use it I have to turn off the monitors and unplug them. That's a bit of a pain. So once I got it all working, and it took a pretty long time waiting for things to turn up and trying to work out what was working and what wasn't. I then had a few sessions on Zwift, thought it was pretty good, and subscribed. I've also had a go on the RGT system, where I did a group ride with some friends that I normally ride with. They'd loaded up a GPX file because we were supposed to be riding a course that we ride normally outside, and to be completely honest it was a bit naff really, because you had absolutely no clue where you were. Didn't look anything like where we ride, so I wasn't really into that, and also it didn't control the erg mode on my trainer, so that was pretty useless. And I've also tried trainerroad, which I quite like. So at the moment I have trainerroad and Zwift running, and I'm trying to work out which one I'm going to use the most of, because I don't really want to pay for both of them. So after using Zwift a few times, I entered my first race. I was raring to go, everything was set, Bluetooth was all set up. I jumped on the trainer to warm up, and there was an awful noise coming from the trainer. So I contacted the online shop I bought it from and sent them the video, and they said, yep, I think you're going to have to send that back. I said, right, come and pick it up. I then thought, right, I'll have a quick look on their website to see what I want to replace it with, because I wasn't too keen on getting another Saris after this problem, and realised that every single smart trainer, turbo trainer, rollers, everything on Rutland Cycling and on every other site on the internet was completely out of stock. The whole world had gone crazy for indoor trainers, as you can imagine. And seeing as all the factories have had to shut down, there's nobody making them either. So they're like gold dust. I then immediately wrote back to Rutland Cycling and said, whoa, don't come and pick it up yet. And at about the same time, a fix came through from Saris, because I'd emailed them as well with the problem. And lo and behold, their fix was for me to take the lid off, get some heavy grit sandpaper, and scour up the pulley wheel or drive wheel or whatever this is called, the big one, the big plastic one, so that the belt doesn't slip, has got something to grab a hold of. Right, I thought, well, okay, it's a bit MacGyver, but I'll give it a go, because with this whole lockdown thing, I'm never going to get a new one, and it's going to be back to booty workouts if I'm not careful. I got my tools out and started trying to open it up. It was then at this point I realised that the cycling gods really didn't want me cycling indoors, because all the bolts are countersunk quite deeply into this thing, and the very first one that I tried to undo, the top of the Allen key bolt rounded out immediately and I couldn't get it undone. Every other bolt came out apart from that one. So, still determined not to give up, I ordered an electric drill off of eBay and some special bits that you use in reverse on the drill to extract the bolt. And after about an hour and a half of fiddling around with all these different bits, I managed to get the bolt out. To my horror, this is what fell out of my really expensive smart trainer. And it was basically slices of my drive belt, which had been shredded and tangled up inside the machine. And basically what had been happening was the tension screw wasn't done up tight enough, and the belt was slipping up the large plastic pulley wheel and was slicing off as it went round. Basically, this little screw here needs to be tightened up to a certain tension. This is after I've tightened it up a bit, but when I opened it up, it was around here somewhere, so it just wasn't tight enough. Anyway, so I followed their instructions. I sandpapered up the wheel a little bit. I didn't have a spare belt, so I basically took the belt and I turned it up the other way around so that the shredded bit was underneath. I've lined it up as well as I can there, and I've done up the tension screw to where they say to do it up. And so far, fingers crossed, it's been working okay. I contacted the shop and I've asked them to send me a new belt. True to form with this thing has turned into a complete rigmarole, as they're contacting different suppliers to try and find me a new drive belt, because nobody seems to know what it is, as this thing is made in America. So hopefully at some point I will get a new belt before this one snaps, and then I'm completely stuck. So there we go, that's my experience with indoor training. I hope yours has gone a lot better than that. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.